Good. The legal landscape. But what I want to speak to now is to talk about what a protocol can look like. What is this all about? Very simply, I think this is the easiest way to describe it. So, it is an opportunity, essentially, right? Because, put it like this, often when natural justice is working and we work with governments, we work with other organizations in the private sector. And one of the main things that they say about communities is, this group of people are disorganized. We don't know with whom in the community we should even ask. We don't know if they are sharing resources with another community, and if they are, what rules they have about those shared resources. Traditional knowledge is shared across borders. Yeah. These are all excuses to say we shouldn't have to deal with this nonsense because it's too complicated. We'll just deal with a government minister or some other person, and that's like, we'll wash our hands there. Fair enough. Those are relatively valid things. They're certainly truthful things to put forwards. The point is, yes, these complexities exist. How can communities use the opportunity that conservation NGOs and human rights frameworks and a whole range of other things are setting up to speak to those complexities? Yeah. So here, the protocol, it doesn't have to be a printed document, but as lawyers with square heads, we appreciate printed documents, but other forms of protocols could exist. The idea is that communities have always had protocols. There is the chief, there is the way you manage resources, there are going up and down mountains according to seasons. So the protocol, we're calling it, is the articulation of a community's protocols. That's why we call it a community protocol. So here is a list of things that communities can put in their protocols. But before we would get to communities developing a protocol, you just basically have time with the community to talk about what are any current pressures at the moment, what are issues that have arisen, yeah, what are communities' aspirations. In Spanish they call it planes de vida. Hola. Hi. Would you like to introduce yourself to this?
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Raúl Petzey, soy de la nacionalidad Shuar del Ecuador.
Okay.
Estoy aquí para compartir las experiencias nuestras sobre un proceso que hemos estado impulsando a una iniciativa del ICDN. Entonces vamos a, en el transcurso, comentarles lo que hemos avanzado ya. Gracias.
Would you like to try it?
His name is Raúl Petzey. He's from the Shuar people from the Ecuador in Amazon, and he's coming to tell us some of his experience working in a web-based approach to medicine.
Great. Okay, and would you like to introduce yourself as well? We've sort of slightly changed the program, so people are joining as they are. If you'd like to.
So my name is Viviana.
What?
Viviana.
No.
I'm from Colombia.
Okay.
And
Bienvenido.
Bueno, sí.
Okay. So we're just talking at the moment about biocultural community protocols. And there's plenty online for you to have a look at after this. But just continuing, therefore, these are some of the things, having decided why are we developing this? So first of all, these are great opportunities for communities to sit down and think again, what is this all about? What are the pressures? Why are our children leaving to go to the towns? What is this all about? Where have we got to? And to reconnect with perhaps some of the older stories and the land issues. How are we managing resources? Why did it work better in the past, or why is it working better now? All of these different things. And to start writing down those things which are most important to them. Importantly, that can be an internal thing if they want, but the protocol is generally aimed at engaging other people. So that this thing becomes a targeted exercise. There is this whole great process which can be very, very empowering internally. The only reason it's potentially quite useful to turn it into a protocol is so that I can then explain to a park manager. I can explain to someone who wants to do a red project on my territorio. I can explain to a company who wants to come and access my traditional knowledge who I am, community identity, the boundaries of the territory or area, how we manage the land, what relevant aspects of our traditional knowledge are. Again, one doesn't need to write everything in a protocol what my traditional knowledge is, but you can say, we have traditional knowledge over these resources, or our traditional knowledge has sustained this area for centuries. What you were saying, our natural resource management practices have led to sustainable forestry for the last 1,000 years. So before you come onto our territory and start chopping our trees or introducing new methods of agroforestry or whatever it may be, you talk to us first, and we'll tell you who you have to talk to, etc. So some of those issues that people say we don't know who to talk to, we didn't know this, we didn't know that. In legal terms, you are put on notice. You are on notice that you have to follow our protocol. Okay. So,
to be sure,
can we
ask a question?
Yeah, that's a good. I will pause at this stage. So yes.
No, to be sure, I understand. Of course, this is not a binding document.
No.
This is a process of empowerment, and it's let's say systematization. We can say that in English.
What?
Systematization of an empowering process.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the interesting thing is, Natural Justice, working with some others, has got the phrase at these community protocols into the Nagoya Protocol on access and benefit sharing. It now says access to communities' traditional knowledge shall be, shall be obtained according to communities' protocols. So now that is now a number of countries are putting that into national legislation in their access and benefit sharing regulations or whatever law that is. So that's interesting. So now if you're a community, at least vis-a-vis your traditional knowledge, once that regulation is in place, it is becoming more binding. So it's getting locked into the legal system. Viviana.
So what kind of experiences have you had with communities that are not very well organized or cohesive, or like leadership is not legitimate? Like that's the type of community I have to deal with.
Well, then you would know more than us, but I would say that the same challenges will be there for, as in across those kinds of communities. I guess the question is, again, we would always say leave the protocol aside. It's not initially about the protocol, it's about that issue. So the question then to the community would be, has this splintering or misunderstandings between or within communities leading to disharmony, leading to people being able to exploit us, being able to, that might lead to a joint decision of, yes, we should engage some of these issues. That, as you said, is the important issue. It's the thinking through, it's the empowering, it's the deciding on collective action. Somewhere down the line, where a community says, right, having thought all this stuff through, we now need to engage X outsider, or we need to do this or that. That is when, and potentially only when, a protocol is useful, because that then sets up who we need to engage. Yeah. I don't want to hog this talking, and I've already talked for too long. My friend, the image that Holly set up for you. Whoa! Now, sorry about this. The writing's really small. Can anybody read any of that? It's. I didn't know if we're going to be on one of these 20-foot screens today. Well, let me just talk to one. Let me just talk to this one here. It says customary uses of natural resources. Okay. Should I speak in this now?
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay. Control. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to say, this is the real challenge from a legal point of view at the community level. Thank you, Barbs. And this is a James Bond pen that's just been given. And this is one of the ways that protocols, especially in the legal context, things we're talking about rights-based approaches today, can help. the drawing level, you can see it's an artist's impression of a connected community landscape. There's farming, there's livestock keeping, we've got sacred sites, we've got all sorts of things, as well as government institutions, it's a courthouse or education system or something like this. So at the local level, you know, it's all connected from the village through the fields, there are the buffaloes, etc. As lawyers in this room, and even people who aren't lawyers, you know that the way the law is created is chaotic. It fragments. You have a Biodiversity Act over here, you have a intellectual property rights over here, there's an agriculture law, etc. These things are not in any way joined up quite often, and added to which the way agencies implement those laws further fragments local landscapes. If you were to put agencies on top of this map, who would be dealing with what? You hold your head, you think, my goodness, how does this even work? And the answer is it doesn't actually work that well. So if you're working with communities as lawyers, you're trying to help communities to engage that framework. If you come in from the framework, it is inherently challenging for those communities to try and turn it back into their world. So again, the protocol process tries to deal with that by beginning with I'm going to use my James Bond pen. This is awesome. How do I use this thing? Oh no.
Wow.
Oh wow. I have no.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to leave it like that if I don't move.
That's James Bond.
This is really James Bond.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so that's awesome. I didn't mean to do that, but I've done it. Here are the traditional authorities, and am I doing this or is this?
You did.
You're doing it on the computer.
Who's doing it? He's doing it. All right, that's terrifying. Okay, stop. What I was going to say is great. So here is the thing. You begin this protocols process, and this is my last line on this, is that it begins with, let's talk about the traditional authorities. Viviana, your question, where there is some discord or potentially chaos or disagreement within the community, let's begin with those issues. Let's begin talking about those. Let's talk about how the traditional authorities relate to the management of the way livestock is being managed, farmers, etc. All of these different issues, okay? And from there, the communities can walk towards, therefore, how can or which laws support our now emboldened traditional authorities or modern authorities to have the governance, as this Congress is all about, of our natural resources for whatever it is we want. You see what I mean? So that's all I want to say about that, but it is a way of really empowering communities. And we find, very interestingly, and I mean, it sounds a bit funny, but developing these protocols, having this thing in your hand of this is who we are, etc. These are the laws that support this is what we want, this is what we plan to do, this is what we do want from various government officials. Equally, this is what we do not want from various government officials or the private sector or from conservation agencies. And this is what we would now like. We would like meetings vis-a-vis this. We would like to do that. It's a potentially quite powerful thing. Of course, it's no panacea. It's not a magic bullet. It's certainly not a James Bond pen. But it's an ongoing methodology. We love your inputs and discussions, and with our friend Sutej as well. Again, at the last point as well, one doesn't have to call this thing a protocol. It's not a branded thing. It's just a concept. It's a way of working. And so it would be great to kind of converse a bit about that for in a day. Thanks. Oh, that's good.
So Doris, we've been working together on a project in Ecuador, Laos, and Honduras with Doris in Ecuador to actually implement rights principles automation instead of talking about theory and process quite obscure for some people. We're trying to see whether we can practice. So Doris is thinking about that, and we have Raúl with us today from the Schwa to share some of his personal experiences. Do you guys want to
Sorry, it's hard to
Yeah, I think you should come
Well,
Yeah.
What you were saying, everybody move up.
Okay.
We're going to be doing more presentations there.
That's an option.
And then I go.
Yes.
Yeah. That's okay.
Now we're all split.
Okay, hello everybody. Let's have a seat. I will make a very short introduction and then we will have a Raúl experience, which is a lot more fun to hear than to listen to me. As Luisa mentioned, IUCN in Ecuador has been working on this right-based approach project. The idea is to apply a right-based approach and to go from knowledge theory to the reality on the field. And we are focused, in our case, we are focused on in step 2 of the stepwise approach, providing information. I think I have to move, I didn't realize that to move the presentation. Okay, we are working, as I said before, with the Shuar people in the Cordillera del Condor in the Ecuadorian Amazon, where we have illegal logging, unsustainable harvesting of forest products and mining activities, threatening the livelihoods of indigenous and local people. The project objectives is, we have two main objectives. The first one is about increasing awareness of the Shuar people regarding their rights. And the second one is strengthening local governance for implementation of the rights of indigenous people in the Ecuadorian Amazon, aiming to promote forest conservation. Our main activities, we have been working on capacity building, on a capacity building process target for the Shuar people. We have been helping them to update their life plan, or plan de vida, as the speaker just mentioned. We have been working on developing communication materials, and we have some examples to show you and to give you if you want to take them home. And the last one is disseminating information. All this experience that we have been gaining with the project, with a year working with the Shuar people. We are working with the Wampi, Sapa, and Siona people, another 3 indigenous groups from the Ecuadorian Amazon. They are very, very small, very really a minority. We are working with them, trying to tell them about the experience and how they can learn from the Schwartz. The main results so far, the first one is related with the Chuar people. Even they have been implementing their own form of government according to their traditional practice and custom for 10 years. The project led them to build like a conceptual reflection about rights, especially about collective rights. And that reflection helped to reaffirm their right to maintain a model of life based on conservation of nature. And that is something, and they realized that is something that the state should support. And it also helped the Xuraruntan people to see the whole system of rights as part of their policies, which are put into practice through their annual work plans and also the Plan de Vida that is for 5 or 10 years. And this awareness helped to deepen their cultural identity and capacity to build a more horizontal relationship